Hi everybody, and welcome back to KingNightspore. Today we're going to talk about Marvel Presents Iron Man VR. I know a lot of you are wondering, should I buy this game? The answer, in short, is yes, you should buy this game. This is a super fun game. We're going to go over real quick some of the good, some of the bad, and some of the meh about the game. The good. Let's start with the good. Let's start with the good about this game. It has an entertaining plot. The story is fun. It's very comic booky. It fits into the genre well. If you're an Iron Man fan, you'll love it. You'll dig it. So it's entertaining. The gameplay itself is pretty simple outside of the combat. Like, it just kind of guides you where you need to go, and you just go listen to the stories and you interact with the characters a little bit. There's some choose your own adventure elements to it, where you in your responses to the characters. And that's fun. You know, that kind of gives it a very unique feeling, but it's very, very light. There's not a lot to that part of the game. And so there you go. That's the good, the real good of the game. It fits well. It's well in the genre. So let's go into the kind of so-so. Not so much bad, just different. All right, so the so-so is that this is a flight simulator. If you're into flight sims, you're going to love this game because it has a really unique new thing to it, and that is your hand jets. Your hand jets control your direction and your thrust, along with where you're looking, along with the quick turn buttons on the controllers. So those three things combined, make it a really unique flight sim experience that I've never had anything quite like that before. It feels a lot like a Harrier jet, like what I imagine a Harrier jet or a hovercraft kind of feels like, and it's kind of cool. It's really neat. They're incorporating systems that already exist in other flight sims, so the directional use, like by looking and where you want to go, is pretty standard. I know that's an option in Valkyrie and EVE and a couple others. So they're using traditional flight sim pieces to create a really unique flight sim experience. If you're new to flight sims, this is going to be a little tough. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this a hard 7 as far as difficulty goes in flight sim. It's tricky. It is really hard. At first, these things, you feel like you can't bank at all. This thing can't bank worth the damn. According to Hawkeye, to Iron Man in a recent movie, that describes it very well. It's so hard to turn sharply in the suit until you figure out a few little techniques, which you can figure out and suss out when you're doing the time trials. When you get to that part of the game, I would say take a beat before moving forward in the plot, and do the time trials to release, to unlock some of your skins to change your suit, just to get better at the flight in general. Once you get to that, do that a little bit. I highly recommend it. So that's kind of the so-so part, is that it's unique and complicated, which is cool because it brings something new to flight sims, but it's unique and complicated, and so it's hard. It makes it really, really hard. So you kind of get a little so-so on there, you know? Okay, now on to the straight up bad. All right. The bad in this is associated with the platform that it's on mostly, and that's the PS4. The PS4 is an older machine, and as far as VR machines go, it's ancient, and so they have to make some compromises in order for you to have a satisfying flight sim experience. Well, the first thing they do is they dump down the graphics. The graphics are real low in this game. They're after playing Alex Half-Life for hours and hours, and then I hop into this. It's tough. It's tough. But the low graphics help with the hyper movement that you're doing all the time, so you don't get dizzy as easily. You don't get the disorientation as quickly. So it works for the game, and that's one of the reasons why they chose to go with lower graphics. The other reason, of course, is that it's on a PS4, and so it just can't process those graphics as fast as other VR systems. It makes sense. It makes sense why they made that choice. And ultimately, in the gameplay and the battle sequences, doesn't make that big of a difference. It's a comic book game. It's kind of supposed to feel comic booky, so it didn't really bother me that much, but it is noticeable. The other problem with it being on the PS4 is the controllers. The controllers in this game are so wildly complicated. You're controlling thrusters with each hand. You're also controlling your firing with each hand, left and right hand. You are controlling your switching between your primary and your secondary by tilting your wrist forward. And when you do that, it automatically engages your missiles. Now, when you're flying, because you're also using those same controllers to control your flight thrust, you'll put your hands down behind you to turn quickly, which engages your missiles. You'll turn around to shoot a bad guy. Your missiles haven't reloaded yet, and you go click, click. Nothing happens. And that is so frustrating in this game. You have to turn your heads back up to get your pulse weapon to work and your thruster shot to work. And that just drives me nuts in a heavy battle, not being able to switch manually between my systems, my weapons that I want to use, and so that it's not quite as intuitive as I would like it. So that is a unique complexity to this game alone that I've never experienced before. And I really wish they had separated the thrust controls and your aiming and firing controls. That would have been awesome. I really wish they would have done that. But instead, it's on both controllers all the time. The next thing is there's no analog on a PS4 controller. So on a typical flight sim, you can control your pitch and yaw using the analogs, right? And that's why all the other VR controllers in existence have this, so that you can do this. This is not on the PS4 controller, and so that's why you're having to use your hands the way you're using it. And that just drove me nuts. It's just driving me nuts. It is tough to adjust to, but when you get used to it, it's unique and it is fun. So it's a good and bad thing. The other thing that really bugged me about this game, or has been bugging me about this game, is the load times in between each sequence. It takes forever. We're talking 2 to 3 minutes of load time between each item in the game, whether it's a mission or it's a video sequence or whatever. And that really pulls you out of a VR experience, super long load times. So have a soda ready to go. You come out of VR, relax for a minute, talk to your friends, take a break, because it takes forever for it to load the next sequence. That's kind of a bummer. Not a deal breaker, but a bummer. The one of the things that I didn't quite really like is the upgrades on the suit itself. The interaction with doing your upgrades is pretty easy and straightforward, but there's not a lot of them. On a typical flight sim, you can tweak your ship 100 different ways, like an EVE, Valkyrie, Elite Dangerous. All these games, you can really tweak your ship, and essentially your suit is your ship. And there's really not a lot of stuff you can do to your suit. It's a very limited selection of weapons and items you can put on your suit. And that was disappointing. I wish there was more to that. I wish there was a lot more to that. And so that kind of blows. But again, not a deal breaker. Just disappointed. Just kind of surprised and disappointed. And the last thing that is my own personal qualm is where's Robert? I wanted Robert to do the voice, and he doesn't. The guy that got to do it does a good job, but we all know who Tony Stark is supposed to sound like, and he's not on there. So I was a little disappointed in that one. In summary, this is a good game. Should you buy it? Yes, it's a great addition to any PS4 VR game. Should totally get it. If you're new to flight sims, it's gonna be hard. If you're used to flight sims, it's got some new unique things to it that you're really gonna dig. If you enjoy Iron Man in general, it's a great addition to the genre, so you'll like that. Overall, it's a great game. I say give it a shot. If you'd like to see some actual gameplay footage, I'll be streaming later on my Twitch channel at KingNightspore. So check it out. See if you like it. You can actually see some game footage, and you can do some feedback while I'm playing and ask some questions and stuff if you want. That'll be going on later today and over the next few days. Thank you very much for tuning in to KingNightspore. Please hit like, subscribe, and follow when and where you can, and I do appreciate it. We will see you next time. Y'all take it easy.